From his public Twitter beef with Dillon Danis to spitting on a corner man in the ring, here's why Michael Bisping is too controversial for the UFC. Starting off with his latest beef with Conor McGregor, these two just can't seem to stay away from each other's Twitter feeds. And the latest spat is no exception. McGregor has accused Bisping of running away from a confrontation, and Bisping has hit back with some pretty biting remarks. McGregor claimed that he was making a commission off the Count's fights, so Bisping joked that the Irish fighter's legacy was going away faster than his tweets. McGregor then posted a photo of Michael boarding a commercial plane and claimed that the only legacy he cared about was the one his mom flies around on. Yeah, they're still making mom jokes in 2023. The Brit hit back by saying that money doesn't make you a man, and even if McGregor stood on his own wallet, Bisping would still be a bigger man than him. Ouch! In the end, Michael seemed to get the last word in, telling McGregor that he's not his bro. But let's be honest, this feud is far from over. These two love to throw shade at each other. You can tell, Bisping's always been a bit of a loose cannon. He threw around a homophobic slur after a major win like it was no big deal. The man just can't seem to keep his mouth shut. And this time, it looked like he really crossed the line. So Bisping had just won the UFC title and felt pretty good about himself. But then, Luke Rockhold refused to shake his hand after a press conference, and things got heated real quick. The Brit started boasting about how he's knocked Rockhold out twice now. And when Rockhold called him smug, Bisping went and called him the homophobic F-slur. Real classy, Bisping. Of course, he immediately realized he messed up and asked the media to delete his comment. But let's be real, the damage was already done. This isn't the first time Bisping has used homophobic language either, as he's previously called another opponent an F-word mofo. What a charmer! The UFC must be thrilled to have such a controversial figure as their champion. I mean, they've been trying so hard to be accepted by the mainstream, and then Bisping goes and ruins it with his big mouth. Who needs sponsors anyway, right? He just doesn't stop. Another time, his target was none other than Dillon Danis, the Bellator fighter who seems to be just as good at tweeting as he is at fighting. It all started when Danis took a shot at the Count on Twitter, claiming that the former UFC middleweight champion didn't check in with him when he came to NYC. Bisping wasn't having it and fired back, telling Danis to come see him if he wanted to talk. But the real fun started when Danis called the 44-year-old broke for staying at the Royalton Hotel, which made Michael point out that he's made more money from commentary than Danis has from fighting. And then, just to really rub it in, Bisping told Danis to stop tweeting and deleting his tweets like his mentor, Conor McGregor. Oops, that's gotta hurt. But one thing's for sure, he's got everybody talking. The fans' reactions are all over the place. They just can't stand him and wish he'd just shut up already. And since people weren't reacting well to his tweets, he went on to say there's too much wokeness on the internet these days. Yeah, according to Michael, people aren't allowed to have an opinion anymore. Now, I'm not sure if Bisping is just being sarcastic or if he genuinely believes that he's not biased. I mean, come on. Nearly every UFC commentator has been accused of being biased at some point. It's just part of the game. But apparently, Bisping is dealing with these accusations, and he's not happy about it. After UFC San Antonio, a fan accused Bisping of being biased, and he responded with a sarcastic comment about how MMA has become woke. He seems to think that people aren't allowed to have an opinion these days, because it might offend 99.9% of Twitter. Well, I hate to break it to you, Michael, but maybe people just don't agree with your opinion. There's always been talk in the town about him being biased, and Justin Gaethje even made headlines recently when he said that the Count was overly supportive of Leon Edwards over Kamaru Usman in the UFC 286 main event. Now, fans are saying that he did the same thing for the UFC San Antonio main event. Gaethje isn't exactly known for holding back on his opinions, but he might have a point. Bisping has been known to let his emotions get the best of him, and that definitely bleeds into his commentary. But hey, it's not like he's the only biased commentator out there. It's just that he's so damn vocal about it that it's hard to ignore. And that's what makes him so controversial. Seems like he always lets his personal feelings cloud his judgment. Because there was also that one knee incident. You know the one I'm talking about. At UFC 127, Bisping blatantly threw an illegal knee at Jorge Rivera, which made MMA fans mad. Like real mad. And what did Bisping have to say for himself? My feelings got the best of me. Come on, man! And then there's the spitting incident. Really, Bisping? You're gonna stoop that low? Spitting at someone is just crazy. It's one thing to trash talk your opponent, but spitting at their corner man is just taking it too far. Bisping needs to learn how to control his emotions and fight clean if he wants to continue being a part of the UFC. And let's not forget about the fact that Bisping isn't exactly a fan favorite. When he won a technical decision against Alan Belcher, it of course wouldn't have been without Bisping causing some drama, right? During the third round, Bisping apparently struck Belcher in the eye, and the fight went to the cards. Fans are getting pretty tired of Bisping's first-round knockout promises. It seems like every time he fights, he talks a big game, but can never quite live up to it. There are plenty of fighters who consistently strike with an open hand, like Josh Koscheck. But at what point can we say that this is no longer an accident? In Bisping's case, he threw a left hook and then released his index finger as his fist reached Belcher's face, which extended into the eye. People said it should have been ruled an intentional foul because he knew very well that throwing punches with his outstretched fingers could potentially injure his opponent's eye. But there was this one time he really went too far. He flipped out on Vitor Belfort, calling him a cheating scumbag hypocrite. Talk about taking things to the extreme. Sure, the Brit has never been a fan of testosterone replacement therapy, but fans think it just doesn't give him the right to go on a Twitter rampage like this. Belfort's been catching some heat lately for withdrawing from his title fight and refusing to disclose his drug test results. His lawyer says they're not relevant anymore. But Bisping doesn't buy that. In fact, he's taken to Twitter to call Belfort a cheating scumbag hypocrite. Yikes! He's just creating a serious grudge against Belfort. And for what? Because he didn't disclose his drug test results? Come on, dude, give the guy a break. People say the 44-year-old needs to learn to control his temper and think before he speaks. Otherwise, he's going to find himself in even more trouble with the UFC. Maybe it's time for him to take a break and think about his behavior. And that's why Michael Bisping is too controversial for the UFC.